Dublin is the birthplace of many famous writers, Shaw, Wilde and Joyce to name but three. But one author somewhat neglected by his native city is Bram Stoker, best known for his creation of Count Dracula. Well, a couple of weeks ago, a permanent Bram Stoker exhibition opened here at the top floor of the Graduates Memorial Building at Trinity College, and already it's attracted some very interesting visitors. No, don't worry. A visit to the Bram Stoker Room won't raise the hairs on the back of your neck, because there was more than a dark side to this Victorian Irishman.
Originally a sickly child, he grew up to be a great athlete and was an all-rounder at Trinity, carrying off many cups and other honours. He grew up at the family house at 15 Marino Crescent in Fairview, and when the family got into debt and sold off the house and different members of the family went their own way, he took chambers in 15 Kildare Street, where we have a plaque to commemorate the event. He worked for 12 or 13 years in the Petty Sessions Office at Dublin Castle. Dreary years which he only enlivened by his love of the theatre.
His main life's work then was involved with the theatre.
That is so. Everybody just remembers Dracula, but in fact his 27 years with Henry Irving are the most important contribution which he has made to artistic life. And indeed he did an enormous amount to popularise theatre, particularly amongst the students at Trinity, during the visits of Henry Irving. He also had a job as a theatre critic.
How did he become interested in the whole Dracula come Gothic legends?
Well, so far as we know, he met a traveller from Transylvania who came to Trinity, and he also met him again in London, who must have filled in the background of the vampire myths of Transylvania. Stoker himself said he got the idea after a nightmare with a late-night supper of dressed lobster. But in fact, it seems likely that it grew from his recollections of his mother's story of a terrible cholera plague in Sligo when people were dying by the hundreds. And there are illustrations in one of his early books, Under the Sunset, which give credence to this. A book of short stories written presumably for children, but a little bit too grim, I think, for children these days.
Why do you think, particularly in the 20th century, that the whole Dracula legend has taken off?
I think perhaps because we live in very troubled times. There seem to be forces of evil around, and in a way the Dracula legend personifies these. It is an age of crime and horror of a sort we've not known for centuries, and I think people have to learn to live with horror.
What's your own feeling for the Dracula character as it has emerged now?
Well, I'm not too happy about it myself, because it does lead to what I call sledgehammer horror films. I'm more concerned with the theological aspects, the problem of evil in modern society, and the way that people have to come to terms with it. I think this is what the Dracula myth can teach us.
Some of the artefacts to be seen here, especially the first editions, are both rare and valuable.
I decided it would be a good idea to collect Bram Stoker material while it was still available, and I had in mind an exhibition right from the very first. I spent a lot of time in buying materials at a time that you could buy materials. I mean, nowadays a first edition of Dracula would probably cost you up to £3,000. Fortunately, I got a copy at the time that you could buy them. I have a number of photographs and autograph letters, first editions of Stoker's books, including the first Irish translation, which was the first introduction to Stoker for many readers. I think this exhibition may start in a small way a revival of interest, not just, as I say, with Dracula, but also with the theatre. And we did get a plaque up in Kildare Street. I hope sometime someone will buy the birthplace and turn it into a Dracula museum. Joyce took a long while to be established. We have the Joyce Tower, we have the Yeats interest. I think Dublin is a natural locale for scholars who are interested in Stoker and also for members of the general public who just want to know about Dracula.
Vincent Wall reporting, looking very well there, I thought, in that report, although I now understand why he's been wearing that black cloak for the last 2 weeks.